Yo, what's good, guys? This is going to be the conclusion of my tier list content for at least the start of this season. Maybe down the line we will update it. But this will be the best team in the game, where I'm going to give you guys 3 to 5 options at each position that I would be fine with playing with. I play with the God Squad all the time. I like to think I have the best team in the game for the most part. And these are cards that I would not mind playing with, that I think have an argument for being the best at their position. So that being said, I tried to keep it to primary positions for the most part. But if somebody is very valuable, way more valuable in a secondary position than they are in their primary, then I put them in that other position. So quick announcement, the channel has hit 2,000 subs, which is crazy. Did not expect it to happen this fast, so I want to thank all you guys for that. Our subscriber percentage is up a lot now after the last few videos where I was pandering for it. We are up to 19% from 10, so that's a huge jump. So again, guys, if you have seen multiple of the channel's videos and have enjoyed the content, a subscription, even a like, would be very much so appreciated. And so let's get into the content, right? Let's get into the video. It might be somewhat of a long one, so let's get started. So I've got my little list here. We're going to start in right field. For me, there are 4 right fielders that I think have an argument. It's going to be, so the honorable mention, the last spot is between Hank Thompson and Jock Peterson. It just really depends on what you want. Hank Thompson's going to be absolutely elite outfield defender. Jock's going to give you more power and I believe more clutch and probably better hitting quirks. So overall, I'd probably take Jock, but I see the argument for Hank Thompson. In the 2 spot is a card that I do have. I have Hank Aaron. An underwhelming card as far as the collection's gone. I haven't really loved him too much. He's been fine. The stats are fine. The defense has been worse than I thought it would be. But in general, I still think he is the second best right fielder in the game. And I think number 1 is very obvious. It was my pick for the collection award. It's Acuna. He is always cracked in the show. Probably in the debate for best right-handed swing in the game. Absolutely phenomenal card. He's played great online for me so far, and the defense is a strong point of this card, not a weakness. So I do really like that. He's a lefty killer. Will do very good against somebody like Randy Johnson. So I will get our face cam back up real quick for you guys. And so moving on to center field. Center field is the shortstop of the outfield. They say that because it is important to have an all-around player there that can do a little bit of everything. So with that being said, my 3rd and 4th options, depending on how you want to order them, are going to be Mike Cameron and Lars Newbar. 2 cards I don't really have. Lars doesn't give you the defense that you probably want, but the bat is pretty good. Mike Cameron doesn't really give you the bat you want, but the defense is really good. Mike Cameron, next to Mickey Mantle, is probably the best outfield defender in the game. He looks absolutely insane, super fractured. If he can't get to a ball and Mickey can't get to a ball, then nobody can. So I think he has a lot of value there. It's between the offense and the defense for that last spot. Second place, I think, is pretty straightforward. I think it's Dylan Cruz. I don't think it's too debatable. Not the greatest right-handed swing in the world, but the stats don't lie. And he plays similar to the stats. I have used that card. I just sold him because he doesn't really have a spot on my team at the moment. And that's because I have the number 1. I think it's Mickey Mantle. A lot of people don't hit good with the swing. I am slumping a little bit with him. He is down to 376. Still hitting for power, but his real attribute is the outfield defense. He covers pretty much the whole outfield, right? Water covers 75% of the Earth's surface. Mickey Mantle covers the rest. And that's just kind of how it is. So, in left field, I have Buck O'Neil as the 3rd best. I think he really shines in the outfield. In particular, at first base, that defense that he has doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that he's fast and has good defense. But in the outfield, it matters a lot. There's not a ton of absolutely elite outfield defenders. You take him being an above-average first base defender and move him into outfield, and he becomes an elite outfield defender with max contact and max clutch and an okay swing. I think that makes him a more than viable option in the outfield. So, in the 2 spot for me, I have that home run derby, Randy Arozarena. Another card that I do not have But I think he looks great, right? You're looking at like 115 plus contact against both sides. You're looking at max power, and you're looking at fine defense. He's not going to be a strong defender, but he should not make a ton of errors. He should be fine. He should be able to cover some ground, and you're probably going to have a great defensive center fielder next to him to make up for some of the range that he lacks. Especially if you're not playing somewhere like Laughing Mountain, somewhere with a huge left field, Randy's going to be fine. And my number one is another guy that I don't have, so I'm going to put in Hank Aaron here for my team personally. But for me, it would be Corbin Carroll. I think the stats are too good. I know a lot of people have not been enjoying him too much. That's what happens when there's so many dominant left-handed starting pitchers in the game. He's going to be in a bad matchup a lot of the time. But that card looks crazy. Definitely the best defensive left fielder in the game. And he also has the versatility of being able to be moved to center. Just know the reaction is going to be a little bit lower. So, hopping on into the infield, I think there is a clear distinction here. I don't think we have honorable mentions necessarily, but this guy has to be mentioned. So I think the fourth best third baseman is this Josh Johnson. I raved about this card. If you guys have not used him, I would give him a shot. He's very cheap at the moment, $20K. For, I think, the fourth best third baseman in the game. Gets a lot of captain boost, so it is easy to get those contact numbers even higher. In third, we have Jose Ramirez, a very good card. I think his true value is at second base. I probably would play him at second base, especially because of the mediocre arm. But in general, swing is great. Contact against left is a little low, but he gets a lot of captain boost, and he has all these quirks to kind of counteract that mediocre contact that he has. Has good fielding, has good speed, really is a top-tier option wherever he can play, but I think second base has gotten a little stronger recently, and for that reason, I'm going to put him in third. So our second place is between two players, I think, in between Riley and Wright. Those are going to be your 1 and 2 options at third base. For me, I have David Wright, so he is there. I do not have Austin Riley yet. You pretty much have to have every card in the game right now. That is set 3. I believe there's 212, and to have Austin Riley, you have to have 190. So he is a very exclusive card at the moment, but he will open up as the season progresses. And I think he has an argument for being the best third baseman, especially if you're somebody like me, who I don't really like David Wright that much. I think he hits lefties pretty well, but I'm not a fan of that swing style. I didn't really like Jeter's swing. I don't like Sammy Sosa's swing. And I don't really like David Wright's swing. Chipper is the only swing that's kind of like that I do like. So, getting into shortstops, I think, speaking of the captain, I think him and Corey Seager are the fourth best shortstop options in the game. Jeter is very complete. You can see I was 300 on Jeter. I had Jeter before the game officially came out. So I did get a lot of reps with him. You can see 107 online games with him. He batted .428, only hit 14 home runs. That is not good enough. Those power numbers are bad. That is an 11.3 AB per home run ratio. That is not very good in MLB The Show. It's not like real life. You need to be hitting more home runs than that, which is why somebody like this Corey Seager is tied with him, in my opinion. The defense is not really there. He's going to have much more value as a second baseman, but he does get a lot of good captain boost, and you can see this card absolutely rakes. You can see 5 less games played than Jeter, and he batted .453 with 38 home runs, hit a home run every 4 at-bats. That is significantly better, and Jeter played in some moonshot events for me, and Seager did not. So that is kind of a key difference. I think Seager, way better bat. Jeter, slightly better defense, plays more for speed and contact. So it's really up to you guys. Third place goes to a card I was unable to obtain. I did not make the push for World Series last season. Had some stuff pop up, but I believe it would be Carlos Correa. He has a great swing, very good all-around player. Just an all-around shortstop. Doesn't really exceed at too many things, but in general, very good all-around. Which brings us second place. I think it's the new Bo Bichette card. His swing looks immaculate. Has a couple hitting quirks. Basically max contact, great clutch. Just the power is a little lackluster, but his defense is good, right? That's what you would be concerned about with the Bo Bichette card, is the defense, and his defense is very good. Best shortstop in the game, not really debatable. It's the new LE card. This card's cracked. You can make an argument he's the most loaded card they've came out with so far this year. Definitely has a better swing than Mickey, so that's why he would have that argument. Really good card. I mean, just crazy card. Second base. So the honorable mentions for the third spot would be between Altuve and Soriano. It's really, what do you want? Altuve's going to hit for better contact. He's going to probably be the better high difficulty player. Soriano is going to play better defense and has more pop, and he has a strong arm, which I think is very underrated at second base. Having a strong arm can help you turn those double plays that, the runner's safe by 1 centimeter. He's not if you have like 97 arm at second base. So I think that's an underrated trait of second baseman, which is why I really like this Jackie Robinson at second. He can play everywhere, and he is probably an okay option at other spots. But at second base, he brings a lot of value, right? There's not too many second basemen that have much higher power than him. Obviously, his swing's very good. Maxed out contact, maxed out vision, super nasty in the field. Even with him playing down, if you super factor him, his stats will look exactly what they look like right now on defense. And he has so many hitting quirks. It's crazy. Again, I mentioned that arm strength for double plays. Really good option. And my number one pick is going to be probably the best defensive second baseman, Marcus Semien. This card pretty much has it all. You give him the right captain boost, you're looking at max contact, better power than Jackie by quite a bit. The vision's not really there, but at that point, it's not a huge deal. Max out clutch, which you love to see, and he will be maxed out fielding-wise because that is his primary. He's a primary second baseman. If he can't get to a ball, there's not going to be too many other second basemen that can't. Obviously, he has breaking ball, which is one of the quirks you love to see. For me, I think Simeon's my choice for this best second baseman in the game. So, first base. I think David Ortiz deserves a shout. The card's fine. He really, really, really needs a boost to get his contact up against lefties. That's the main concern about this card. In a meta where there's so many good, strong starting left-handed pitchers, and the best one in the game is a left-handed pitcher, he's going to struggle for sure. But you can see I did rake with this card when I used him. A lot of it was events, but I think he even played a game at catcher for me. So in general, this card was very good, and I did enjoy him for his time. I just think his time has kind of passed in favor of some other guys. So my third option would be Yandy Diaz, a card that lacks some of the power, but has, decent defense if you do care about that first, decently fast, has an okay swing, and has some very, very good quirks. He is a better high difficulty player than somebody like Ortiz would be. Second place, I think, is the Home Run Derby Vlad card. That card pretty much has it all other than a great swing. It is a fine swing. You might even call it a good swing. I don't mind Vlad's swing. I think he has some good hitting quirks. I'm not sure after that down year last year if they juiced his hitting quirks or not. But it doesn't really matter for me because I think the best first baseman is definitely Stan the Man Musial. That swing is so good. It's so fast. He is Babe Ruth Jr. If you liked Babe Ruth, I would argue Stan has a better swing. And he has pretty much all the quirks that Babe had. He is basically Babe Ruth, but he lacks a little bit of power against righties. This card has been really good online for me. The stats don't really show, but he has been. So, we will move to catcher next. I think my choice for the, fifth best catcher, in my opinion, would be Sean Murphy. A lot of people like Sean Murphy for some reason. I don't. I don't think his swing is particularly great. Really, his only strong point is defense, and pretty much all of the other top-tier catchers do that just as well, if not better than him. So I don't really see the argument for him. Definitely the worst pick out of the World Series pack. But, if you're a Braves fan, if you're a salty A's fan that still wants to use them, knock yourself out. So my fourth option will be Kyle Schwarber. The offense he brings you is something that almost none of the other top-tier catchers bring you. He's just going to hit nukes. He has probably, I'd argue, the best swing out of every catcher I have on here. I think that card's really good. The only downside is he is very bad on defense, so you cannot afford to spike pitches and miss by a lot in the zone, or he may give up a pass ball. And managing runners, you have to be able to manage base runners if you're going to use somebody that is that defensively inept as that Kyle Schwarber is. But if you just learn how to do that, catcher defense does not matter. Been saying it. People at high ranks don't steal, and people at low ranks don't know how to steal. So if you can just learn how to manage base runners, you'll be fine. So that rants out the way. I think Elias Diaz would be my third best pick for catcher. Has the maxed out contact for the most part. I think he's a little weaker against one side. I have not used his swing. I remember it from a moment that it wasn't that great. But he just doesn't really compete with the top two that clear the rest of the competition. So for me, the second best catcher is Joe Mauer. His price has absolutely tanked, but he is still just as good as the day he came out. Maxed out contact, very respectable power numbers, maxed out defense. There's not a whole lot to not like about Joe Mauer. He's very solid. The only thing that you can't like about him is that he's not a switch hitter. Which brings us to number one. It's Adley. Is there really any doubt? Does lack a little bit of contact against one side, if I'm remembering right. But his swing is very good. I don't think it's on Schwarber's level. If you gave me a switch hitting Schwarber, I would probably play him over this Adley. But Adley is absolutely top tier. Obviously the 99, not this Derby one. I just don't have him at the moment, but we are working towards him. So let's knock DH out. I think my fourth best option would be the new Castellanos that just came out. Lacks a little bit of power, right? The ideal DH is a 125 guy. He doesn't really have that power, but Castellanos always has a really good swing, always has some good hitting quirks, and I really do like him as a DH. There's just, I think, probably some debatably better options. Like Jordan, a lot of people swear by that Jordan card, and he is very good. Just probably going to struggle lefty-lefty. The contact numbers aren't really what you would like to see, but in general, he is fine. After that, I have Michael Brantley. I think he is probably the better high-difficulty player than somebody like Jordan. Won't hit as many bombs, but you could argue the swing's even better, and the contact numbers are definitely better. And then my pick for the best DH, obviously assuming no wild cards or anything, would be Juan Soto. I think the new World Series Juan Soto looks absolutely great. If you give him a captain boost that boosts him against lefties, he's basically perfect, other than a little bit of power against lefties. But I think he is probably the best DH in the game from this season that is eligible for this season. So from there, I think we need to probably just talk about some bench options. And these are going to be my wild cards. So the last pick for a wild card for me would be, where is he at? This Trey Turner card. I absolutely love this card when I used him. You can see 406 for 14 home runs. Kind of has that Jeter syndrome where he doesn't hit a ton of home runs. But this card is probably the most clutch card I've used all year. He hits a big home run every time you need it. Plays a great second base. Plays a decent shortstop. Plays a good third base. Probably wouldn't put him in center field because the reaction is so low. But really good card. Decent wild card option. A card that I imagine pretty much anybody that played during set one probably has. So for his accessibility, I think he is very good. My next option would be, where is he? He keeps checking season 3. That's very annoying. My next pick would be, where is he? There he is. Michael Trout. This card is so good. He is so good. 455 with 56 home runs over 138 games. Was debatably my best hitter from the last season. That card is so good. Absolutely love that Trout card. You can get him for under 50K on a buy now. If you want to sit on him, you can get him for probably 35. That is a bargain. If you do want to wild card somebody, I think he is a very good option. So my next option, I do not have. I do have the 97. Do not have the 99 anymore because I sold him, like I told a lot of you guys to do. But if you were going to wild card him, I think Griffey is a great option as a wild card. Very good player, very good swing. He was honestly probably my best hitter on my 1,000 push. A card that actually hit over 500 for me. It was more likely for him to get on base than to not get on base, which is pretty wild to think about. That's how good that card was for me. And he played an absolutely elite right field where I played him at, but obviously would play a good center field as well. And my last pick is probably the most obvious one. I think should be everybody's de facto wild card, Chipper Jones. Probably my most consistent best hitter. 443 over 100 games, 50 home runs. Probably hits the most home runs out of anybody for me. But with Chipper being mentioned, obviously I probably should mention Babe Ruth. If you guys did hit very good with that Babe Ruth card, I'm sure he's a fine option, maybe even over Trey. The problem is you're pretty much wild carding a DH. I think that's where he has the most value at. So for me, I would rather wild card somebody like Chipper who can play the field. Probably better as a DH to be realistic. But somebody like Trout has positional value in the outfield. Somebody like Griffey also has positional value as one of the better defensive outfielders in the game. So for me, I think those two are very good options also. So we are getting into starting pitching. Number one, we're going to go in order on these, and I'll mention some honorable mentions at the end. Randy, not really debatable. Number two, for me, would definitely be Satchel Paige. I think he looks so good. Very much so looking forward to using that card. But for me, it will be the number three option since I don't have him yet. I think John Donaldson's a very good option right now. People are abusing him because of the stamina glitch, but he is still a very good card even despite that. My number four, my number three in my rotation, however, is going to be Paul Skeens. I think that card looks so good. There's a couple cards that pitch very similar to him, but having that slurve, slider, cutter, it's hard to tell which one he's throwing and how far it's going to be dropping. Obviously has that outlier. It's basically if Jacob deGrom threw a cutter, that would be Paul Skeens. The card's pretty tough. So for me, the honorable mentions start here. Kershaw is one of them. I think Kershaw is very underrated. I think people have been underrating him for a while. I think he's a very good high difficulty pitcher. It's hard to pick up on the ball out of his hand, and just like traditional previous years Kershaw's, he does have a lot of success. From there, for me, it's between probably Ohtani, Greg Maddux, Rube Foster, Justin Verlander, Nolan Ryan, and the new Marcus Stroman are all good shouts. I think they're all fine in their own right. You can make the argument for them. I will not be too mad if you do want to throw them in the back end of the rotation. I think they're all very solid cards. Do I think they're better than these top 3/4 if you have Satchel Paige in there? No, I do not. But I do think they are very good 4-5 guys. They have an argument to be at the end of the best rotation in the game if you do find success with them. So, relief pitching. I have Camilo Doval, that 99. If you are a high difficulty player, if you play on Hall of Fame, if you play on Legend a lot, he is very tough to hit. On those difficulties, on the All-Star, he's kind of BP. But on those higher difficulties, he is very good. So I'm just going to throw in names that I do see on here. Aroldis, probably one of the better lefty specialists in the game. One of the only lefty relievers I'm somewhat comfortable throwing to a righty with. He feels very good in that regard. Kenley, obviously very dominant. Mo, basically Kenley's counterpart. I think he throws a little bit slower, has a little worse through nines, but better control. So it's really what do you want out of those two. Goose can be very overpowering. Best pitch is a changeup. He is so good. Very good tunnel pitcher, but the control can be a little shaky at times. I think Evan Phillips is worth a shout. I think he's a fine card. Really thrives on those high difficulties. Not going to do great on low difficulties, right? He doesn't have any pitch that drops straight down, which is what you want for a strikeout pitch on those lower difficulties. But on higher difficulties like Hall of Fame and Legend, I think this card looks very good. Going from there, Aaron Loop, probably the best lefty specialist in the game. Card is so good. Very, very, very hard card to hit lefty-lefty. So he has a lot of value in that position. From there, I think Felix Bautista looks really good. He's kind of a gimmick pitcher, kind of a one-trick pony. But if you can tunnel those three pitches together, because they all do look very similar out the hand, mixed with his really weird, funky delivery and maxed out through nines, he can be very effective, especially on those super high difficulties where people have almost no time to react to what the pitch is. They're pretty much guess pitching at that point. From here, I've got a couple other honorable mentions. So we already went over Doval. I think Loizaga looks good. If you found a lot of success with his WBC card, I think it's pretty good. I do like Rob Dibble. I like the Yunier Cano All-Star card. I also like that Trevor Hoffman. Just a good speed change pitcher. Can find success on those lower difficulties as well as higher difficulties, depending on how well you use him. With Hoffman, he's more of a finesse pitcher, obviously. And I think Billy Wagner deserves a shout. Very good lefty specialist, very underrated. Not a lot of people are seeing him. Probably one of the more uncommon relievers I see in the game. And yeah, guys, that is going to be the best team in the game, in my opinion. Those are all top-tier options I just listed. They have everything you want, right? MLB The Show is all about power, but on those high difficulties, contact also matters. Pitching-wise, you really do want outlier on those low difficulties, but on high difficulties, you need high control also. It does help to have that outlier, but really what you want on those higher difficulties is high control and a better pitch mix. So I could see, the argument for Shohei not making it, but I gave you like 5-6 other starters I would consider more than good pitchers. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the best team in the game. If this did help you kind of structure your lineup, add some, players on your target board to start working towards, then feel free to like and subscribe. Until next time, peace.